What we are as Christians is the basis, is the fuel for what we do as Christians. And that's the joyful hope and assurance that we bask in today, as we're now going to ponder three realities of God's work in the Christian life. Three realities of God's work in the Christian life. So look back at verse 13, and let's just read it over again. Hopefully you're going to memorize these two verses. For it is God who is at work in you, both to will and to work for His good pleasure. Well, verse 13 gives us some explanation, some motivation, some reason to trust and to obey, to step out in faith and try to keep on striving. That you can pursue that. God is the reason that's given. He gives three realities of His work. And that first reality is this: God gives a new life to empower His people. Because verse 13 starts emphatically in the Greek with the word God. So point number one is that God gives a new life to empower His people. Grammatically, this phrase in verse 13 might read, the worker is God. Because the worker, or the one who is working, is likely the subject of the sentence, and yet the word God comes first. Theos comes first. So get this, the reason you can work out your salvation, the reason you can pursue obedience is God. The reason it's worth getting up another day to fight the fight of faith, to battle temptation, is because of God. The reason you can humble yourself and obey and serve like Christ did is because of God, the real, personal, all-powerful, sovereign, creator, sustainer, God. And it's not merely the existence of God. The hope and help of the Christian is that same God is working in you. So we're living by faith in the Son of God, His love for us. And it is not merely us, but Christ living in us. How amazing. God in Christ by the Spirit lives in Christians. That's part of the new life. Another part of that new life is the new heart that He gives. So note that as a second point of encouragement from Philippians chapter 2 and verse 13. Point number 2, God gives a new heart to encourage His people. God gives a new life to empower His people, number one. Secondly, God gives a new heart to encourage His people. We can't really separate the new heart from the new life. But like Ezekiel 37 pictures a new life that comes into dead bones, Ezekiel 36 pictures a new heart that replaces the heart of stone. And so we know thirdly and lastly then, God gives a new joy to enthrall His people. You call it a new purpose, but it's a joyful purpose. It's a glad purpose. So God gives a new life, one, to empower His people, a new heart to encourage His people, and thirdly, God gives a new joy to enthrall His people. And kids, enthrall means amaze, delight, E-N-T-H-R-A-L-L, to delight, to amaze, to engage us gladly. I mean, God gives a happy purpose and goal to capture us with endless excitement to seek Him and serve Him. And we can always be secure and sure of that in our future in that purpose. And we can approach obedience, trusting in this God, not in ourselves.